He's editor-in-chief of Breitbart News and a New York Times best-selling author. And on this podcast, he brings deep research, prescient analysis, and world-class guests. He's Alex Marlow, and this is the Alex Marlow Show.
All right, this is the Marlow Show. We've got a super busy show for you today. We got some fun in store for you because we got a lot of clips. Missy put a lot of excellent clips about happenings in and around the world. Let's get right into the news. First thing, most serious thing that came across my desk today is that Trump announced a meeting with Vladimir Putin in Budapest. He had a phone call, unleashed a long truth bomb, which is my expression for his Truth Social posts, suggesting that they had a very productive call and they're going to meet in Budapest. And the point of the call would be to try to forge a peace. After the Middle East peace, I think Trump has got the momentum, and he feels like now is a good time to revisit the Ukraine-Russia war, which has gotten worse over the past couple months. So let's see if Trump can work his magic in the region as well. So we'll have that to look forward to. There's a lot of happening because, again, we're looking at that No Kings protest over the weekends coming up. We're still in a shutdown environment. Here's the latest on the shutdown, and we have not a lot of movement. Russ Vought said that there's going to be 10,000 layoffs. That's not a lot of layoffs. It really is not a huge number, and he's obviously trying to act pretty judiciously and not overdo it and not be too cavalier, do anything that could cause us to lose the narrative war on this. And a federal judge in California blocked a bunch of them. So this just looked like a California judge being a California judge, but this is temporarily blocking the layoff. So we can't even fire people with government shutdown without the lawfare judges standing in the way, which is why I got a lot of recommendations, but I won't go through all of them on the daily podcast. You may have to pick up that little book back there, Breaking the News. Breaking the Law. Breaking the News is good too, but Breaking the Law is more relevant to the conversation. So some Democrats say that Trump is going to have to undo the layoffs, going to have to commit to that in order for them to come and vote to reopen the government. John Thune is playing a move, who is the Senate Majority Leader. He says that he's going to guarantee a vote on Affordable Care Act subsidies if the Democrats will reopen the government. This is a good fig leaf, you would think, for moderate Democrats, because Republicans do want to negotiate on Affordable Care Act stuff because it's political suicide to rip healthcare from a bunch of people. This was part of the calculus that Obama and the Democrats made when they pushed for it so hard, is that once you give people the government healthcare, it's incredibly difficult to take them from it and still be viable politically. Of course, economically, it's always going to be stupid, but to take it away politically is really hard. You've got to have a great plan, which I've never seen a great plan for something like that. And then that plan has got to pass. And then you got to run the risk that it does not go well right away. And so it's politically very tough. Republicans know this and would be willing to negotiate with Democrats on it, but Democrats will not come to the table. Some of the stuff I'm saying, this is going to get revisited later in the show when I start playing some AOC and Bernie Sanders clips. So keep track of some of this, because I'm thinking I'm very tempted to cut in with some AOC clips that I've got handy, but we'll hold that for the time being. The Senate is also going to vote for a full year defense appropriations bill. This is happening right about when we're recording the show. So we'll see how that goes. But that's another tough vote for Democrats, because you would think we would want to have our defense industry funded, but will they all stick together and refuse to vote to open up the government? And it's just noteworthy because Chuck Schumer, who has supported, dozen plus continuing resolutions over the years, basically had committed months ago to supporting continuing resolution now to keep the government open. Feels like he just has to cave to that left-wing base and keep the government shut. And so that is, I don't know who wins, though, in the long run. I had a big, my Breitbart Confidential, which is my premium show for Breitbart members that I do every day. If you want additional Marlow content, that's the way to get some. I talked to Bradley Jay, who's our congressional reporter, and he covers a lot of Washington for us, Matt Boyle's deputy there. And I was going through with him, what are there moving parts? Is there any momentum? And it's kind of not. A lot of the left is now pointing out that J.D. Vance, who's heading to Camp Pendleton, which is almost my neck of the woods in San Diego, California, over the weekend to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Marine Corps. And they were talking about how some of the people on the base are really feeling the pinch of the government shutdown, and some of them had to go to a food kitchen or something. And it's just really minor stuff. And it's not that it's ideal. It's just that it's not really going to push one side or the other to give up first principles and try to give up all their leverage in order to get the government open. So I don't know how long this is going to go, but not a ton of movement. And I'll try to bring in some more lawmakers to the show next week. I've got a lot of requests out, feelers out, and a lot of soft yeses from people who's going to sync up all the timing. So we'll have more content as this drags out and is going to drag out. So as of now, but put a pin in that because we'll come back to some shutdown stuff momentarily. Okay, I've got an unbelievable story for you next that is just hot off the presses. But before I do that, I want to tell you about something that happened 3 weeks ago. My friend Charlie Kirk was supposed to be the one reading this to you. Just 2 days before he was assassinated, he decided to support an explosive new documentary. His death and the violent attacks on churches and schools remind us that we're in a real spiritual battle. But there is hope. Church attendance is rising, especially among young people. And for that hope to last, we need generational change. That's why Charlie wanted you to see Off School Property in theaters October 23rd. The film tells the story of LifeWise, a nonprofit bringing Bible classes to public students during the school. Charlie was excited about the mission. Check it out.
Called LifeWise in Ohio said, okay, we'll raise the money, find the space, and the school has to allow 1 hour of religious instruction. So I just learned about this a couple days ago. This could be a revolution in government schools across the country.
Now it's up to us to carry it forward. Take your family and friends to see Off School Property in theaters nationwide October 23rd. So it's coming up, just a week away. Find a theater near you at lifewise.org/Alex Marlow. That's lifewise.org/Alex Marlow. All right, so this is an unbelievable story and someone who probably could use a little more church in his life. Just to guess, JB Pritzker has released a partial tax record for some reason on Wednesday. He's going to run for president. I don't know why he's releasing it now. But he shows that he and his wife had $10 million in taxable income, pretty good work for a governor, and more than $1.4 million in income from gambling. Pritzker made $1 million, almost $1.5 million gambling last year. And apparently this was, I don't know, he had a hot hand on a blackjack table in Vegas, and he claims he donated all to charity. But a couple of things. The first thing that you think of when you see this is this seems fake, right? I mean, it feels like cheating. I mean, who posts $1 million gambling wins? It's the professional gamblers. And the other thing is that, remember, if you win and then it's offset with losses, then you are you're not going to claim all that money as income. So it really is unbelievable. But how many of you buy it? You can email me aloha@alexmarlow.com. I got open emails. You guys email me whatever you want. I read everything you send me, and I really appreciate that. Positive, negative, hilarious, whatever recipes. You can always email me. But do you actually believe he made this, or was there some sort of sketchy cheating that took place? And that's what I'm trying to figure out. And do you people accept this sort of thing as real life? Because I definitely feel a little skeptical when I see something like that. And I just like, how much is the governor gambling? Was he having fun for one night? And if so, it just reminds you of what a Nepo baby he is. Because remember, Pritzker is only who he is because he inherited parts of the Hyatt Hotel fortune. And a lot of his family doesn't even like him or get along with him or respect him. That's a big, complicated story we can get into if he runs for president, which he will. But he really is just the ultimate Nepo baby. If he's in Vegas gambling millions of dollars at a time and winning millions of dollars, it's just all very off-putting. And who even knows how that's what casino was he at? Like, what kind of a run? What are the maximum bets that he's playing if he's winning 1.4 million? And is he cheating? I don't know. I want to know. But they released this for some reason. And it's just in the middle of when the guy won't enforce laws. He doesn't want to keep normal citizens safe because he's so ambitious that he wants to take on the MAGA apparatus and run for president. And in the meantime, he's somehow bagging $1.4 million playing blackjack. It seems a little far-fetched. Okay, so just noteworthy that's there. The next thing I want to point out, Goldman Sachs telling employees that AI will take their jobs. So just note this, that we're keeping a close eye in the AI revolution. We have a lot of AI content planned for you on the show in 2026. I've got a lot of research that I'm not necessarily doing myself, but some friends and colleagues who I've worked with on some of my research are working deeply on AI. And there's a lot of potential positive stuff coming from it, but Goldman Sachs informing staff to brace for layoffs. And I think one thing that's interesting, and I think this take, I originally heard it from I originally heard this from Colin Medine, who's our tech editor at Breitbart News, is the exact people who are going to get laid off because of AI are the ones who were telling workers to learn to code, telling the welders and, telling the people who worked in factories that they need to learn to code because those jobs are just getting outsourced overseas and tough noogies. And now these are the exact people who analyst jobs, people have to deal with data, people who deal with spreadsheets, those white collar jobs where people were kind of overpaid to sit in cubicles for a while and crunch numbers. Those are the exact, or write code. Those are the exact type of people who are going to be losing jobs to AI. And then now you got to put your thinking caps on. Because think about how we in the populist economics world who believe in the dignity of work would rather see human beings do jobs than robots, ideally, and not at the expense of human progress. We all got to move forward eventually. But Sam Altman, who is maybe the most well-known and oddest guy who's a AI visionary, I mean, he really does think that the universal basic income is coming because so many jobs are going to get eaten up by AI. So not to say he's right, but scary, scary stuff is out there for AI on the horizon. And some of it won't be entirely negative. AI will solve a lot of problems, and I'm excited to see how quickly we can dunk on the left with using our abilities to use AI to be able to get arguments, hone arguments. People are going to be smart. I think a lot of fake news lies are going to get debunked really easily. So there's going to be positive stuff that comes from it, but there's going to be a lot of people out of work, and that is not good for society because when people are out of work, then idle hands makes for the devil's work. That's really, really a truism. So noteworthy there, and I wanted to flag that for you. All right. Some real interesting interviews that took place yesterday, and we got some clips set aside that I want to break down for you. And I'm going to play them. I got a few AOC clips, I got a Bernie clip, I got a Mamdani clip, all the people out there making the rounds. And I'm not doing this in any particular order, but I do want you to see some of where the rhetoric is on the left, because I spoke a lot in multiple shows this week about how thin the left's bench is and what a horrible coach Barack Obama has been, what a terrible job he's done bringing on the next generation of Democrat leaders. And let's start with the face of millennial Democrats and leftists and socialists in the country, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at a CNN town hall with Bernie and Caitlin Collins, who basically just throws alley-oops to them and does nothing to refute anything they say. But here we go. And
it is clear to communicate that as an individual. Now, to the question earlier as well, when they talk about Republicans and their success online, they have been successful because they have also been very clear, especially digitally, about what they believe, that women are inferior, that they do not deserve equal rights. So
it's really just pay attention to. Well, I'm just gonna get this out of the way for all these clips. Watch how Collins never jumps in. She never says anything. She never gets in the way. I mean, these are just the most unbelievable, horrible things to say imaginable. And she just, doesn't, they're so inaccurate. They're so mean. They're so divisive. They're so inaccurate. Inaccurate. That's the main thing, right? These are false. They're lies. So, but first of all, we started that with some real mealy-mouthed. She's just not a terrific communicator. She never has been. And she's very passionate. She's very declarative. And she's good looking, especially for politicians. Has high energy. That energy is really what's good. But what she has to say is nothing. She had nothing to say. So far that she's incorrect that the reason why Republicans are successful online is because I want to play it back. I want to play this back for you guys.
They talk about Republicans and their success online. They have been successful because they have also been very clear, especially digitally, about what they believe.
So I don't know if that's why we've been successful online. I think that we've been relentless. We've been fearless. We've been funnier. That's really important. And because the left got fat and happy because they would rely on the establishment media to basically coach enough people up to vote for Democrats. And they lost the ability to make effective arguments. Our arguments are much better, and we make them in a funnier and more charismatic way. I mean, that's why. So it's not, I think that's really, I don't think she understands it. Maybe she had a different, if you pinned her down in private, she'd have a different answer, but that's not a great answer so far.
believe that women are inferior, that they do not deserve equal rights, that they believe that LGBTQ Americans are subhuman, that they believe.
So imagine if this is the only politician, or this is your go-to politician, and this is how she talks to you, that it is that people on the right, because we think that LGBTQs are subhuman. I mean, first of all, we separate the T's from the L's and the G's and even the B's. And we don't know what the Q's are. Like, we really don't. So we know what the L's and G's are, and we think maybe there were B's. I don't know. But we just don't, we think the T's are oppressing all of us by insisting on anti-science nonsense. And too many of the T's are grooming the children, and too many of the T's are ruining women's sports, and too many of the T's are, I think, hurting themselves. I saw another viral post about someone who got a phalloplasty, which is where you take skin off of your forearm and make it into a fake penis. And it's like, I want to joke about it, but I don't also, because it's so depressing, so sad. So that's what we believe. We don't believe they're subhuman, and we don't really, by and large, have a problem with the L's and the G's. Like, when was the last time you heard Republicans talk about how we don't like the L's and the G's? Like, it just doesn't happen. I mean, this is a century ago. I don't know, maybe a couple decades ago. But they're the ones who are so intolerant. And they're the ones acting like we're the intolerant ones because we didn't buy into the trans nonsense, which has ruined a lot of lives. A lot of lives got ruined by this trans contagion that people are pulling away from in a rapid way.
And are circulating disgusting racial and white supremacist messaging that they are able to get away with digitally and online. And they are able.
Every major minority group is moving towards Donald Trump, aside from, I think, suburban white women and young unmarried white women. I mean, every other group is more inclined to vote for Trump. I don't know. Maybe there's one other, maybe black women. I don't know. But like overall, just about every minority group is moving in the direction of Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans. And part of it is because people are generally not stupid. And if people ask, how we've done so well at Breitbart and why we've had such longevity, one of the first things I would say to people is that I don't belittle the audience. I've never demeaned the audience. I've always talked up to the audience. Me as then, the editorial voice of Breitbart, which I'm tasked with keeping an eye on. And I just never had a second of an instinct that my audience wasn't well informed. And she's really talking down to them because she's suggesting that we're all racist and we're just talking about race all the time and thinking about race. We almost never talk about race. We're only talking about race largely in the context of responding to these people. We saw this with Obama. Obama was so race obsessed in this Mark Maron interview, an hour long, that I watched earlier in the week. He can't stop talking about race and all that stuff and discrimination and various grievance groups who feel like that America has not been good enough for them. And I just don't think by and large, most people feel this way. I think this is what is told to them by Democrats. I don't think people witness the level of discrimination that is commensurate with the way the Democrats talk about it. I'm not saying that there aren't a few racists in the country. Of course there are, but they just don't hold that much sway or power. And you can see it by the data.
To radicalize and target and exploit a generation of young boys, in particular, away from healthy masculinity and into an insecure masculinity that requires the domination of others who are poorer, browner, darker, or a different gender than them.
What is she talking about? I wish Caitlin Collins would cut in and ask you to explain that more. I just don't know why. CNN is creating another streaming network. They're going to do a CNN. The joke was online, CNN plus, because they did CNN plus and that didn't work out. Who would subscribe for premium CNN? I mean, she's got to cut in here. She's got to cut in and ask, what the heck are you talking about? Our biggest problem in society right now is that people are too passive. People are not getting out and doing stuff. Younger people need to get motivated. They need to get motivated to work, to learn, to suffer, to build families, to build careers, to build businesses. That's where a lot of the joy and satisfaction in life comes, from achievement, from finding a mountain and summiting it. And a lot of time for men in particular, the way to do that is through traditional masculine characteristics and traits, indulging those, building those up. And you know who likes that a lot? Women. Women tend to like those types of guys. So if we want to have family formation, the women are going to be much more attracted to guys who go out and do stuff. I'll tell you, the number one thing that attracts Mrs. Dr. Marlow to me is when I'm thriving. Like, that's the number one thing, is that when I'm doing well, when things are happening for me. That's what she likes. That's what she's interested in. So, and just this whole thing where we were supposed to just be passive and just let women walk all over us and let the system walk all over us. It's like, that's not real. She's even like that. I mean, if she does, I don't know. She's weird if she does. But I think the bigger problem is that we need to get more masculine men feeling good about themselves, because masculine men can be chivalrous too. And I think with that confidence you get from actually, going to the gym, having a good job, making sure you're healthy, feel like you're on track to build a family, maybe you're already building one. I think those types of people walk around very calm and they keep people safe. They fight our wars, they build our buildings, they do a lot of dirty jobs that women are not going to do and soft boys are not going to do also. So I just feel like this message feels very dated to me, and I just don't think people are going to get it. Let's continue.
And that is why they are resonating online, because they are appealing to the most basest and worst parts of human nature to divide us. And why to divide us? So that the same people who own those platforms, people like Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Mark Zuckerberg.
I knew it. I knew she was going to go to Musk. I know she's going to be mad at X. She's mad that X got taken away. She was good on X, and now she's going to Bluey. And she doesn't like all the negative comments on X, and that's what it's about. So and Zuckerberg bought the election for Biden in 2020, so don't ever forget it. But Zuckerberg got a better haircut, and now he likes to do MMA fighting, and he's over woke, because so many of us are over woke, and that's okay. We don't want to do woke anymore. All right, I got so many more. I'll play a few more. Here we go.
Trump believes that if you don't vote for him, he doesn't have to be your leader. That if you didn't vote for him, that you don't deserve good things to happen to you. I don't care if someone voted for me or not. I don't care if someone is a Republican or an independent.
This is just amazing, because you heard that first clip where she's just dividing. She's just demonizing. Everyone who disagrees with her is not just wrong, but is bad. And she's so fired up about how toxic everyone is who doesn't agree with her. And then she's like, but I also don't care. I will represent all of you. It's such a lie. I mean, they just lie so effortlessly. But the main point here I want to make is recall the Katie Porter clip I played, I think it was the end of last week, where she was with the journalist, and the journalist basically asked her, it was not a great question, I will caveat it with that, but the journalist basically asked her, you said you don't feel like you need Trump supporters, and you would be their governor too, like 40% of the state, and there's millions and millions of people in the state. There's a lot of millions of Trump supporters would be your constituents. Do you feel like you need to acknowledge them at all and try to be a good governor for them? And she said flat out, I don't need them. And that is what made the interview get hostile. And Katie Porter since had to apologize for her conduct in that interview, because she understands everyone's realizing she's a raging bitch, which is it's just a fact. And that's not, hey, it's not a misogynistic thing. It's just a truism about Katie Porter. If you follow her, that's who she is. So all her staff says. That clip of her screaming, get the F out of my shot, to her staff, we all know. And that's why she has to apologize. But her instinct is, I do not care about Trump supporters. But AOC is out there, the very angry tone, insisting she really cares about us. So it's good if she becomes president. It's good.
Independent or a Democrat. I don't care if someone likes me or not. That will never change the fact that I'm going to fight for them to have health care. I want MAGA to have health care.
See, it's such immature argumentation. This is high school debate class argumentation, and it wouldn't do well. You wouldn't give her a good grade, because it assumes that we don't want people to have health care, which is not true. So we all want everyone to have health care. We want the best health care in the world. We're just, I think, a little more realistic about how much we can afford and what system might deliver the best cutting edge care to keep us competitive. So it's too irritating. All right, let's go. I got one more.
So what would you say to Republicans who say you're doing the hostage taking this time?
Once again, pick up the phone.
We're talking shutdown now, and let's see if this rhetoric is convincing to you.
The phone. They need to pick up the phone. And it's not hostage taking if they refuse to clock in, right? We're all clocked in. We're all clocked in to do the job. They're not even here. They're not even here. And so it's not hostage taking as much as the fact that they refuse to show up and do the job.
Once again.
So Chuck Schumer said that he would go with the CR months ago. This is Joe Biden's budget. Democrats lost the presidency, both houses, in November. We're trying to extend Joe Biden's budget a few more weeks so we can negotiate, and Democrats won't do it. And Republicans are there, like they want to negotiate. John Thune today made a move to try to bring some Democrats back to the table, and she's acting like it's Republicans are not making enough concessions to the Democrat triple minority. And I just don't think the way she articulates it is a way that's charismatic. I don't think it's a way that's persuasive, and it's on Republicans to counter it. But I just don't know if this is it. Is this the woman who's ready for prime time to bring the Democrats into the modern era? I just don't see it. And so Bernie's out there. He's trying to groom her, and he's not that great himself. He's better rhetorically than she is. But here's Bernie versus a teenage conservative. Check this out.
How do you think this shutdown reflects on Chuck Schumer's leadership?
Well, I think it reflects more on Mike Johnson's leadership and President Trump's leadership. This is a leadership which said it's okay to give well, how do you feel? You tell me. Think it's a good idea to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the richest people in the country and then make massive cuts to...
So this is Bernie's move. Is he tries to ask the questioner, who is not a senator and is not in a position to do much other than vote every couple of years, to answer the question, which is always, it's very dishonest. And you can't, once you're elected, you can't grant equivalence to you who has actual power to those who are asking a question at a town hall. And so I think it's a Bush League move by Sanders. But then he also is throwing out some sort of fake scenario where we're just giving tax cuts to trillionaires or whatever he's saying. He comes up with something out of thin air, and he poses this straw man argument. Say, well, what do you, student who's here to ask a question at a CNN town hall, what do you think of this straw man argument that doesn't exist? How do you retort? What's your retort to that? Well, the student is asking Bernie how he's going to vote and why he's not voting in a way that is going to open up the government. That's something Bernie should have a good answer for that, but instead he flips it around and tries to grill this kid or young man. I'll say young man. I don't know exactly how old he is. It's just so unfair and so dirty. He's such a dirty dog, Bernie, with his 3 houses, the socialist with 3 houses. Let's play this again.
Well, how do you feel? You tell me. Think it's a good idea to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the richest people in the country and then make massive cuts to health care for working class people?
I think Chuck Schumer has voted for continuing resolutions 13 times in the last 4 years.
This is going to be a good answer here, but and I'm impressed by this, but I can't get over that this is a fake straw man. It's not even real. We're not trying to take health care from working class people. We don't want illegal aliens to get health care insurance because we cannot afford it. And we want to have some limitations on whether or not they qualify for all of government health care. So we can't have unlimited supply of funds for illegal alien health care in this country, which is the way we've been operating while we go into massive amounts of debt. And it is a big magnet to encourage more illegal aliens to come here. Like, that's the debate. And the Democrats should be on board with this, but they have to reframe it in a different way. Because if they frame it in an honest way, then the whole public will be against them. So that's what's happening. All right, let's hear the answer.
Country and then make massive cuts to health care for working class people?
I think Chuck Schumer has voted for continuing resolutions 13 times in the last 4 years, and he has the opportunity to vote for one again, but he's refusing to come to the table.
Well, I think, look.
It's a Joe Biden budget. He's Joe Biden budget. So he's a liar. But look, they don't have anyone. And case in point. In California, we've got something out here called Prop 50, which is Gavin Newsom's plan to redistrict the state, take away some Republican seats. Now, this is a fool's game for Democrats because, first of all, it could be very galvanizing for conservatives around the country. It gives us the green light to continue to redistrict, which we should be doing across the country in red states. And Republicans are going to pick up seats on net. And who's to even say that they can do it in a way that won't eventually backfire, because they don't really know exactly how all the minority groups are voting now, because they're going to redistrict, they're going to gerrymander around racial lines. Even though, you got the Ketanji Brown Jacksons who are suggesting that black people need to be considered disabled now, with the most racist comment I've ever heard in my life, which we heard yesterday. We played it on the show. And they're going to try to do that in California, and they think they can guess. And I don't know if they can guess as well as they think they can. So I'm going to vote no out here on it, obviously. But when I go to the polls here in a couple of weeks, and we'll have some guests on to talk about this more, because I do think it's a big national issue in the end. But overall, they think that they can just read all the minority groups and redraw districts in a way that makes it so that more Democrats get seats. And so they think this is democratic. So trying to cook it so that Republican votes, white people's votes are worth less. That's what they're trying to do, and they're making the argument that this is very democratic. Who is carrying the flame here? Who's carrying the torch? It is Barack Hussein Obama. Check out this ad.
California, the whole nation is counting on you. Democracy is on the ballot November 4th. Republicans want to steal enough seats in Congress to rig the next election and wield unchecked power for 2 more years. With Prop 50, you can stop Republicans in their tracks. Prop 50 puts our elections back on a level playing field, preserves independent redistricting over the long term, and lets the people decide. Return your ballot today. Vote yes on 50.
He's got a different demeanor than AOC in that she's angry and he's kind of calm and more stately and more professorial. But his message is every bit as divisive. This is trying to disenfranchise conservative voters even more than we already are in the state, trying to disenfranchise white people even more than we have been in the state. That's the whole point, trying to make it so that they're drawing the districts so that our votes are worth less. That's what they want. They want to make sure that all the Republicans are in a small area and then the Democrats fan out across the rest of the country. That's how they want to draw it up so that they can get more blue seats. So that's not democratic. It's not preserving election integrity. And you're allowed to do this politically, but they'll never be honest about it. They'll always tell you, they'll always pose some rationale that is the exact opposite. This is pure Alinsky, which was Obama was a student of Alinsky, as we all know, in Chicago. So it's all pay attention to their rhetoric, because whatever their arguments are, they're typically doing the exact opposite. So one thing that I wanted to pose as a contrast to what AOC is doing, Zohran Mamdani was on Fox News, and I'll tell you, he may even be more of a radical politically than AOC, but he is leagues ahead of her in terms of presentation. And I've made fun of him with his toilet bowl smile and stuff, and how he's got a good quaff, and how he talks like he's a working class guy, but he really is from deep privilege, and he's barely been in the country for that long and immigrated here very recently and all that stuff. And so he's a phony too in his own way, but he's got the presentation so much more dialed in. Now, listen to this with him on Fox News.
I want to take this moment because you spoke about President Trump, and he may be watching right now. And I just want to speak directly to the president, which is that I will not be a mayor like Mayor Adams, who will call you to figure out how to stay out of jail. I won't be a disgraced governor like Andrew Cuomo, who will call you to ask how to win this election. I can do those things. So let me
analyze what he's doing so far. So first of all, he faces the camera, which is it's a little hokey, but it's working. He looks good, looks sharp in his suit, and it's got everything dialed in terms of appearance. Tone is very good. It's not the angry, scolding, harpy tone that we're seeing from AOC. And he is distinguishing himself from old guard Democrats who have had scandals. I've gone through the Cuomo scandals a million times. Of course, the nursing home scandal being number one. Eric Adams had another one. And he's saying, I'm different than them because I'm real, I got integrity, and I'm not a crook. And I think that that's really clever. And it distinguishes himself as anointing himself as sort of the new guard. Now, let's see if we get to any of his ideas.
Those things on my own. I will, however, be a mayor who's ready to speak at any time to lower the cost of living. That's the way that I'm going to lead this city. That's the partnership I want to build, not only with Washington, D.C., but anyone across this country. I think it's important because too often the focus on the needs of working class Americans, working class New Yorkers are put to the side as we talk more and more about the very kinds of corrupt politicians like Andrew Cuomo that delivered us into this.
So he's going to win on moral character issues, and he's going to win because he just does not have as many skeletons in his closet as Cuomo and Adams. And what's noteworthy is that all the Democrats have to do is to put out someone who is not ridden with scandals, who's not completely unappealing to people, who doesn't talk down to people and scold people in the way that the AOCs do. And then all of a sudden that they're gonna cakewalk through these major elections because we don't even get to debate on ideas. If you debated his ideas, all of his policies are going to make the working class life more expensive. They're going to make businesses are going to be running out of New York as fast as they can. Things are going to get more expensive. Government-run grocery stores are going to drive up the price of everything. So he's going to have all these inflationary policies. He's going to go softer on crime, which is going to make things less safe. He's going to do the thing where he tries to give away free stuff, which means raising taxes. Life is going to get much more expensive and much more dangerous when he wins. which as of now he will win. But note the presentation is just so much better because he is making it so, look, I've got integrity and that's why I'm going to be a leader. And we don't even have time to get to his ideas, which are terrible. And so for him to debate the merits of his ideas, that would be, it's just far off. And the Democrats are running, by and large, nationwide, though, they're really trying to, I think, spend more time elevating voices who are fighters. And that's why there's so much Gavin Newsom talk, JB Pritzker talk, the people who just defy Trump at every turn. I saw this clip of this woman on MSNBC named Jennifer Welch, who's a podcaster, and she's got a podcast. It's called the I've Had It podcast. All right, here she is talking about the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance.
He is married to a woman of Indian descent.
Yes.
He has mixed race children.
Yes.
So to all of the MAGA voters out there, if this man will not defend his wife and will not defend his kids, do you think he gives a crap about you or anything to do with you?
Yeah, so the implication is that J.D. Vance is a racist, even though he has an Indian wife and he has brown-skinned children. And just the thought that this person would be able to try to understand someone's marriage at this level and to imply that Vance is a racist, even though he's got brown kids. And the fact that she looks at that family and just all she sees is brown. That's all she sees. It's just the pandering on race is nonstop. And that's what she does. I've seen some more of her content, but Vance seems to be a great dad. I've seen him in his personal life. I've been to his house. I met Usha at their house. This was before he was even a senator, but I was there, and he just seems to be a nice family man. And I think it's probably been hard on him to go into the vice presidential bubble, but he thinks it's worth it on a personal level because he gets this amazing opportunity to be the vice president of the United States and to lead the country. And it's an attack on his kids, basically, for being brown. It's pretty racist. The same way Ketanji Brown Jackson was attacking black people yesterday for being disabled. So just the left sees race everywhere. It's very confusing, I think, for people who don't have this. I think if you have liberals in your life, you got to walk them through this. It's the left who's constantly seeing race everywhere. The right, we're the ones who are trying to move on the colorblind society. We're the ones who are trying to live by Martin Luther King's credo that we are judging people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. They're the ones who see a guy like J.D. Vance and she can't stop thinking about the brown kids. It's very odd messaging. But I'll tell you, I just saw a big puff piece a couple of days ago on this exact woman in The Guardian, which is a big left-wing paper that's based in the UK, but one of the most powerful liberal papers. How two blonde suburban moms gave Democrats an answer to the right-wing media ecosystem. So they were noting this is the new contrast to conservative dominance in podcasting. And is Jennifer Welch and Angie Sullivan, their podcast, I've Had It, has risen up the charts and created a community with a brand of FU politics. So they don't use the letter F, they use the full word. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. Is the Democrats are not focused on good ideas. They're not even focused on trying to present arguments to reasonable, normal people. They're focused on FU politics. That's what they're rewarding right now. They're rewarding people who have FU politics because that's what they think is going to catch up, because Trump played the smash mouth politics and he played it very well and it was very charismatic. But remember, that was a stark contrast to the GOP losers who were in the establishment, who were very polite, played by the Marquis of Queensberry's rules, and kept losing elections. So the Democrats were winning elections when they were the ones who had branded themselves the civil ones. Now they're thinking, well, let's brand ourselves the really angry ones and let's see how that works. And it's not going to work. It's not going to help them. They needed better arguments. They needed better people. And until they do that, they're going to keep struggling. I can't resist playing this one. This is the ladies on The View. And they said something that was so outrageous, I had to share this with all of you.
I think that we should have more Republicans on the show, but they don't want to come on. They're scared of us. It's like Marjorie Taylor Greene says that she finds the Republican men afraid of powerful women. Well, that may be true of all the political persuasions. But if they would come on this show and they can explain to us what they're trying to do to this country.
We're all afraid of the women of The View. That's it. She's got us. Joy Behar's got us. All of us in the right-wing commentary space, we're all afraid of The View. That's it. She's got it. She's good. It's a dream for conservatives to go on The View. Do you know how much I would have loved to have gone on The View when I was promoting Breaking the Law or any of my books? I would have loved to go on that show. It would have been massive exposure. And it would have been dunk fest on all, at least it should have been. I'm not saying, I don't know, maybe it would have had a bad day, but it should be a dunk fest. So any conservatives are going out there and they're going to have a really good chance of going viral and getting very popular from debating these people who don't have great arguments. They just have emotions. And then they have that cadence where they know they can pander to their clapping seal audience by stopping what they're saying when they are going to arrive at a point. And you arrive at the point like this, and then the audience cheers. So you can say whatever you want, but so long as at the very end, you arrive at the point in this way, then everyone will start applauding. And if you can do that, then it's not hard to do those shows. So I got to tell you, every single Republican conservative who likes debating at all was watching that clip and going, oh, hand up, bring me in. Let's do it. Me included. I'm ready for my invite, Joy. Let's do it. Let's have it out. Editor-in-chief of Breitbart. It's pretty cool, right? It's good branding. I'll close with this today because Misty pulled it for me. She wanted me to check in on how Dylan Mulvaney is doing. Dylan Mulvaney is the man who impersonates a woman and grooms younger people and somehow got a massive contract from Bud Light and was put in the Bud Light cans to celebrate his womanhood, which is fake. And this is quite a blasphemous ad, I might say, that this is button pushing. Here it is.
Oh, it's Jesus, here to tell you that you should buy tickets to the least problematic woman in the world, starring one of my dad's favorites, Dylan Mulvaney. Trans people are cool. We should all support them, especially Dylan, because tickets are like under $100 right now, and it's a great deal if you ask me. Okay, we'll catch up later. See you later. Bye.
It's unbelievable. And I'll tell you, it is effective, though. I went online and to see what is he talking about, and apparently he's doing an off-Broadway show called The Least Problematic Woman. And I'm reading about it. I'm reading the website right now. It's amusing. Dylan Mulvaney makes her, it's actually he, so misgendered her, off-Broadway debut in a dazzling solo play with original music about self-discovery, fame, and life beyond girlhood. He's a man, so no girlhood here. Don't miss the tender, in-depth look at the rise and unraveling of a modern internet icon. I mean, who wouldn't want to see this? And it really is. Exactly. Well, Obama did a few Misty's commenting on how there's a one-man play just about yourself, like who could do this. But Obama wrote 2 memoirs by his early 40s. So, that level of narcissism does exist. I saw one of the quotes was that it's an incredibly horny play, which is like, oh my gosh, we're gonna do this, that this small boy who impersonates a girl is horny, like that's something that's gonna bring us to theater. This is a world I do not understand. I do not understand it, and I am glad I avoided it. But this is, of course, blasphemous intentionally to try to get attention for his one-man play that he would call a one-woman play. So look, we got him on the run, guys. It's all good news. They're angry, they're frustrated, they're weak, and their arguments stink, and their spokespeople are even weirder. Man, this freeze frame we got of Mulvaney as Jesus. This is really something. This is special. Okay, that's today's show. Thanks to Misty. Thanks to John Cassio for pulling clips. We've Eric Trump tomorrow. He has insisted on coming back to the show. And why wouldn't he? We're going to be talking all about his book, Under Siege. We got some big stuff for you. I had a big interview with Dennis Prager's son, Aaron, who has a new podcast about recovery, and someone who had a huge bout with drugs and alcohol and has bounced back and is a pretty amazing person. So that's on the horizon for you. And a lot of stuff. I'll be in D.C. next week. I'm definitely going to get some big interviews, already working with the White House on that, working with some top senators, congressmen. So show's hot. So thanks for sticking with me and telling 10,000 friends and family members about everything we're doing here on the Alex Marlow Show. And I'll see you tomorrow.